Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric Aroka. Hey, this channel is all about helping you to learn how to build a culture that lasts and developing your personal leadership. This week, I'm going to be giving you 5 recommendations, 5 on how to hire for culture fit. Recommendation number 1 for hiring for culture fit. This one's important. Make sure that all your promotional materials that you are discussing your culture and your values. For example, your job postings, your website, your social media sites, any recruiting tools that you use to recruit candidates into your organization, you should be sharing your values and your culture. Make sure that this is easy information to find. You should not be making your candidates dig for this information. Make it readily available to them, especially on your social media sites, on your job posting. Recommendation number 2 for hiring for great culture fit is communicating your values and your culture to how it directly ties to that job that you're hiring for, that job posting that you're hiring for. For example, if you are hiring customer service representatives and one of your values is to provide customers with a great shopping experience, then you will talk about how that value translates to that value, that you are all about giving them the best experience and really let them know what that experience is like. If you have customers that are upset, what role do you play, or what role does that value play in helping that customer, even if they're upset with your product and or service? So making sure that you really clearly identify how that value translates to that job posting. Recommendation number 3 for hiring for great culture fit. This one is all about asking the right questions. Make sure that you're asking open-ended questions to get the candidate speaking, to try and figure out if they really believe what you believe. One of the ways to do that is to ask them questions that are directly related to the values that your organization believes. If one of your organizational values is providing great customer service and you truly believe that, then you would ask questions that are related to that value. For example, tell me of a time that you provided great customer service to a customer who was difficult. And then wait for the answer. Another question that you can ask, and I think this one is extremely important, is to ask the candidate what their values actually are. If they've done their homework and they've been to your website and they've readily seen, or they were at the job posting and they read at the job posting that you value providing great customer service, they should pretty much know that that's one of the answers they should give. Right? So if they say, well, I believe in providing great customer service, then ask them why. So this is called the 5 why method. You can continue to ask why. So why do you believe in providing great customer service? Whatever answer they give you, just ask why. Why do you believe that? Whatever answer they give you to that question, ask why again. You can ask up to 5 times why. The more you do that, the closer you're going to get to the reality, to the root. I like that. The more you're going to get down to the root of why that candidate believes in providing great customer service. This is a great method to use in your hiring practice, in your interviews. Remember the 5 why method. Ask why often, because you're more likely to get to the root of the real answer and why they believe what they believe. All right, we are all the way to tip number 4 for hiring for culture fit. This one is interesting. I've only been a part of this one a few times throughout my career, and this tip is simple. Allow the finalists, your finalists in your hiring process, allow them to meet with your team. If you don't have a team environment, bring them into the organization and allow them to meet with people that work within the organization. It could be other managers, co-worker. Allow them to spend some time within the organization. A great way to do this is to have your team or some individual take that candidate out to lunch. Now, it's probably on the company dime, so no one's going to say no. The reason why you want to do this is because in that conversation, it's more of a relaxed atmosphere. People will tend to talk a little bit more openly when they're in a restaurant setting and that you have some food, eating, socializing. That is it's an open environment for you to share maybe your beliefs. And so this is an opportunity for your people to share with a candidate what it's like to work there. What's the day-to-day like? What's the culture like? What are the values, and how they go about living the values that you profess to live up to within your own organization. Now, another important step in this process is to not just allow them to spend time with your organization, but to actually get feedback from the people that they spent time with. So if they were with your team, or just a couple of people, or one individual, you want to go and get feedback about that candidate. What did you guys talk about? How did they communicate? Do you feel like our values are similar, their values and our organization's values? Do you feel like they would be a good culture fit for our organization? Don't ask questions like, did you like them? Because I like a lot of people and we don't have the same values. So that's probably not a great question. But ask them questions like, hey, how do you feel they would fit into our culture? Do you think that would be a good fit, or they would be a good fit into our culture? All right, guys, the fifth and final recommendation for hiring for culture fit. This one is tricky and it's pretty tough, but simply put, get good at firing. You heard me correctly. Get good at firing. Don't let your ego get in the way. We all want to hire the perfect candidates. We all want to be known as that person who hired, that manager or HR person who hired the best people in the organization. But that is just not realistic. You're going to miss. You are going to bomb. That's just how it is. So get good at firing. Donald Trump was pretty good at it in his show. You're fired. You're fired. Practice that. Okay, maybe not that cruel, right? But you get my point. If you make a mistake and you can tell that the individual that you hired is not a good culture fit, you're not doing yourselves any favors. That person is not going to change. You don't change people. People change themselves. You're not going to, there's nothing that you can do that is going to change that person's value system. So instead of just hoping that it happens, get rid of them. Get good at firing. Don't allow one person to spread a disease like cancer throughout your organization, throughout your team. Get rid of them early. If you know they're not going to work out, just admit, you know what? I made a mistake. That is all we have time for today. So let's do a quick recap on the 5 recommendations that I gave you to hire for great culture fit. Recommendation number 1 is to make sure that your values and your culture, that you are communicating that openly in all of your recruiting tools, whether that be the job posting, your website, or social media sites. Any tools that you use, you should have that information very apparent, make it very available for your candidates to find, so they don't have to be out there, digging for that information. Recommendation number 2 for hiring for great culture fit is to communicate your values and your culture often as to how it relates to that job posting. Recommendation number 3 was to ask great questions. And remember, this is the 5 why method. So ask open-ended questions. Ask them what they value. It's a great question to start with. Recommendation number 4 is to allow the candidates your final candidates to spend time with people within your organization, and then to make sure that you are getting feedback from the people that they spent time with to gauge culture fit. Remember, ask good questions like, are they a good culture fit? How did they communicate? Do you feel that this person would be a good culture fit for our organization? Don't ask questions like, did you like them? Number 5 was get good at firing. You're fired. Okay, guys, that is all we have time for today. So if you liked what you saw today, give me one of these. Hit the share. Share this channel with your friends, with your colleagues at work. And let's learn together on building great company culture. I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you guys next week.